go. Brian Park. Hello, Brian. Thanks for coming tonight. Is there an easy shortcut looking at, let's say, VAS, divide by 3, and bam, you have your internal volume? Is there an easy shortcut to figure out VAS?
Not necessarily, because it's not just about VAS. You know, there's other things that contribute to frequency response. I can tell you, though, as a rule of thumb when it comes to VAS, and this is just a rule of thumb, but once you hit 10 times the VAS, then you're in a free air application. So that's kind of the opposite of what you're asking. You were kind of, you know, how small of a box can I make based on the VAS? But the only thing I really know to correlate with VAS as far as that goes, our application goes, is once you hit 10 times the VAS, then you're in free air. Now, that's not always the case. It's just a rule of thumb. We were messing with a 4-inch speaker recently, and it was in about 4 times the VAS, but the box wasn't really doing anything as we increased box volume. So it was pretty much free air at that point. But we're talking a 4-inch driver with not a lot of displacement that doesn't play low, so I'm sure that weighed into the equation.
Sure, sure. Thank you for the question. Next up, SDK enclosures, $5. I'm sure there's a great joke there somewhere. Can we go over the difference of a high MMS driver versus a low MMS driver of the same SD?
Yeah, basically, the more mass you have, the lower it's going to play. So it's going to decrease your FS. You decrease the mass, it's going to increase your FS. That's pretty much it.
That was it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, same way we tune passive radiators, for example.
Okay.
We add weight, they tune lower. We take away weight, they tune higher.
Sure, sure. Next question. Blake. Hello, Blake. Thanks for being here. How do y'all handle nonlinearities that won't show in the teal small specs, like progressive suspension designs?
Well, actually, we can see them in our TS specs because our Clipple is able to produce BL curves and that KMS curve that I was talking about. So we can see exactly what that progressive roll spider is doing. What
is a progressive roll spider?
It's where the rolls are not the same size. They progressively change in size. And I believe what the advantage is that it doesn't stiffen so much when it gets towards the end of its suspension.
So it's like a variable, well, I guess it'd be a variable.
It's a variable size roll.
Yeah,
like if you looked at a cross-section cutting on the outside, they're larger and they progressively get smaller towards the voice coil.
Okay, okay. Good question, thank you. Another question. Brian Park again. Hey, Brian. If someone wants subsonic, does FS point you in a good direction?
Kind of. You know, like I said earlier, the lower the FS, typically the lower it plays. But again, FS is measured at small signal. And sometimes you don't get into a stiffer portion of the suspension until you move the speaker a little bit more. So that's why we can listen to speakers that have a lower FS that actually don't sound like they play as low.
Okay.
But the measurement shows that they play a little lower because it's done at small signal.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's not moving as much.
Yeah.
You move it more, you get into a stiffer portion of the suspension, now your FS raises.
So this would be part of the reason why sometimes a driver on paper looks great, but then when we're listening to it, like, oh, that's not exactly what we expected.
Yeah, sometimes, and typically if they look really great on paper, they're going to be pretty good. There may be a few things here and there that don't quite line up with what you think you see, kind of like this FS situation.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, for the most part, if the specs look good, it's probably going to be a pretty good driver.
Okay.